you like to take on opportunities in general? Like you're not like one of those like, oh, do I want to gauge if this is the opportunity for me to take or not? You're like, oh, this seems fun. This seems interesting. Let me do this right now. Let's figure it out later.
That's how the book also happened. Literally, if somebody said something that sounded interesting for a moment, I'm like, let's try it. We'll only figure out if we're going to fail after we try it.
Yeah.
But if I've already put my mind to it and said, ye to nahi hoga. Like surfing, for example, right? I tried surfing once in Pondicherry. So the 1 hour on land I did, and it was 1 hour on the surf.
Yeah.
I must have done 10 minutes. Then I saw all these girls getting beaten up by the waves. I went to the bar, I got myself a drink, and I watched them getting slapped. I was like, guys, I tried, no? Not for me.
Yeah.
But at least I tried.
I actually had a different experience with it. I had the guy who taught me, I've done only like some 4 classes so far. And the first guy, it's also about, I feel, the person who teaches you, which really helps. This is this guy who used to be the backstage manager for large concerts like the Elton John concerts, etc., all that stuff, and went through that life for a long period of time. And one day decided, this is too, I want to have a slightly more chill life, and becomes a surfing instructor. And now he travels the world. He works with a company that only does surfing classes in like your 5-star resorts, etc. So he doesn't go to like any school. And his way of teaching he was really funny. He would do this, do yoga, then do ninja, and like stuff like that, right? So you just shout.
I can imagine.
Because like you lie down and think it's yoga, then you jump up, it's ninja. Yeah. And he made it so fun that I was like, oh my God, I want to do this every day. Even though I got smacked on the face many times post that, and the second time, by the time I went back to the same place, he wasn't there. He'd moved to send me the email saying now I'm teaching in I think the Caribbean or something like that. He was in Maldives and into Caribbean. He's now all over the world. That's what he does for life.
I want to go to the Caribbean.
That's
Give
the
me
life.
number, okay?
That's the life. Yeah, I'll give you contact. Email ID, I shall say.
Arya, I met these 2 wonderful people in that sauna only. Brilliant they were. One was wearing a bucket hat, 2 Japanese lads. I mean, I can't help it. I see another nationality. I need to start speaking. I'm like, hey, where are you from? He's like, Japan. I'm like, which prefecture? And he's like, Osaka. I'm like, oh, I love Osaka. I've been there and all that stuff. What are you doing here? These 2 guys were up from 5 o'clock in the morning. And they were only visiting different saunas in Helsinki because they want to take the concept of saunas back to Japan. Oh. I'm like, I want your life.
That is what you're doing?
That's all they were doing. And we were spending 2 hours in the sauna. Imagine they were doing this from 5 a.m. They were just busy. And they were like, so tell us about more saunas.
By the end of it?
They seem to be loving it. And then they would have had like drinks and it's great because you're sitting in 50 degrees of heat. Then you go and take a dip in freezing temperature water. And then you come back and do this. And then you do that again. And your blood is so warm that you barely need warm clothes to keep you warm because your blood is warm.
Yeah.
And that's something that they do. And imagine I just met these 2 lads who experience saunas for a living. I'm like, that's the life.
Oftentimes, you're in a new place. You move out of, I think even if in the same space, I've always found it interesting to look at what people on other tables do, seeing what I can learn. And because I would generally be the shy person, I'm eavesdropping. I'm listening to what people are talking about. Done like solo holidays, sit in one place, listen to people talking from different nationalities. And those interactions, I believe, teach you so much about people beyond meeting them in an actual social gathering where you're actually formally introduced, because you're all putting up your I would say your presentation mode face.
Oh, 100%. But how did solo traveling happen for you? Because I've never met another solo traveler.
Solo traveling for me was something I did very early on in my career. When I started off in MTV and Channel V, you were working 15, 20 day shifts. Because you're on a shoot schedule, you're doing that, you're on edit, post that. And suddenly I would have one day when I would finish all my edits and I would say, guys, I'm disappearing for a few days. And I would just leave, I would get on a bus and I'd go to a Goa because that's all I could afford. And I would just go there, I would get off the bus and then I would just find one of those bike auto taxi guys and say, can you find me a place I can stay? And they would find me one random guest house kind of place. And I would just go to place, I would just walk around, I'd find a cafe. I say that, give me something which people don't normally order for breakfast. And they would give me that. And I was this person who just loiter around. I would do that in Bombay when I couldn't afford it, because I feel oftentimes you believe that you can't holiday solo in the same city. I would come out of the MTV office, I would put on my headphones and just walk. And I'd find something which like, oh, I didn't know this existed here.
Is that because you were hanging out with so many people that you wanted to spend time by yourself? Like,
Yeah.
was that the genesis of solo traveling for you?
I think so. And I also felt like I've enjoyed, and I actually learned this very recently. And it's like taken me 40 years to realize this. I did this entire exercise on purpose. I said, what are my core purposes in life? What is my core purpose is what I started with. And I worked with a coach and she said, nobody has a single purpose. You have multiple. So, and it started off with really mapping out and seeing, write down all the things that give you a purpose feeling. I said, what does it mean? Like when you're doing something, does it make you feel like you have a sense of purpose? It doesn't have to be a serious thing, doesn't have to be a career thing, could be anything. So I wrote a long list down. And we broke them down into actually under headers. And one of my core purposes is to spend time by myself. It is one of those things that gives me that feeling that I'm by myself. And I thought back, I'm like, even as a kid, I was that kid who wanted to play alone with his toys. I needed to do that even though I
Are you
had
the
friends.
only kid?
No, I have a younger sister, but she was 9 years younger, so that
Oh, yeah,
wasn't
you were
necessarily.
the only kid.
I was an only kid.
9 years.
And I was too old by the time she was born for that to become a thing.
Yeah.
But I believe we often believe that a sense of purpose comes with what you do in your career, it comes in what you do in your, something which is like substantial, has some. But when that came down, and that was one of the longest lists of things which I like to do by myself. Like I'd like to, and it's not like meditation and all. Like meditation I can do 5 minutes. Like 10 minutes is what I can manage. I can't do longer than that. My head goes everywhere. But make me listen to music for like hours together by myself, I can.
Ah.
So it was like finding those tools. And I feel we don't often do that. We often tell ourselves that our purpose needs to be a career thing, which I also have. I have some of those, like sharing things which I'm learning with people is my thing. So when someone says, "Are you a content creator?" I'm like, no, I just share stuff which I'm learning. I enjoy that. I'm that into kid even now who wants to tell people, "Oh, I saw this meme. Have you seen it?" Did that make you rethink things? If it did, make sure you check out the full episode.